2:14 a.m., the Gulf of Oman, exactly 50 miles from the Strait of Hormuz. The global energy market is holding its breath, and the black water tonight looks eerily quiet. But beneath the waves, a multi-domain death trap has just been triggered. If Iran thinks it can use the cover of darkness to sneak a $60 million sucker punch past an American carrier strike group, then they are about to receive a painfully expensive lesson. The dark sky suddenly rips open as a storm of supersonic tungsten shreds a swarm of incoming Shahed 136 drones into burning garbage. Down below, an Iranian Kilo-class submarine commander is sweating, completely unaware that his best diesel-electric stealth technology is being tracked like a glowing beacon. Most people would look at this radar screen and see chaos, but those with a sharp tactical eye know this is the opening act of an absolute slaughter. Stay focused, because how this ends is a masterclass in making the grizzly blink first. On the surface, the Iranian commanders are practically throwing a victory parade before the first shot even lands. They unleash what they call the blind swarm, 45 disposable Shahed 136 suicide drones paired with 8 Zulfahar speedboats tearing across the black water. Their entire strategy is built on a cheap illusion, overwhelming the American fleet's radar with a chaotic cloud of low-budget trash, hoping to bleed the U.S. Navy dry of expensive interceptor missiles. Down at a crushing depth of 600 feet, the real threat is creeping into position. 2 Kilo-class submarines, led by the Tariq 901, alongside a Fateh-class boat, are hunting in the dark. These doomed henchmen are sitting on 6 heavyweight Valfajer torpedoes, their captains probably high-fiving each other in the control room. They are absolutely convinced that their outdated diesel-electric stealth is invisible, locking onto the multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier with smug satisfaction. But here is the genius twist that the Iranian planners completely missed. Right above the chaotic surface, cruising comfortably at an altitude of 30,000 feet, the all-seeing brain of the American fleet is already dealing the cards of destruction. The E-2D Advanced Hawkeye doesn't carry a single weapon, but its active electronically scanned array radar is currently sweeping a radius of hundreds of miles, stripping away every ounce of the enemy's pathetic stealth fantasy. In a fraction of a millisecond, this flying supercomputer processes the entire battle space and beams a massive stream of targeting data directly down to the fleet's Aegis combat system through a secure tactical data link. The Iranian captains think they are sneaking up on a blind giant, but the artificial intelligence inside the Aegis cruisers has already mathematically dissected their entire formation, instantly recognizing the incoming swarm of cheap drones as a desperate decoy. If you were the commander of this fleet, would you panic? Or would you trust a machine that calculates the geometry of death faster than a human heartbeat? For any ordinary navy, a massive wave of 45 suicide drones screaming out of the darkness is a reason to empty the missile tubes and pray for survival against the horde. But the Aegis system doesn't feel fear. It only processes the cold, hard logic of the cost-exchange ratio. The Iranian trap is incredibly obvious to anyone who understands the ruthless economics of modern warfare. They want the American commander to panic and authorize a massive volley of Standard Missile 6 interceptors. At a staggering $4 million per shot, using an SM-6 to swat down a pathetic $20,000 fiberglass lawnmower is exactly the kind of financial bleeding the enemy is hoping for. It is a calculated scheme to empty the fleet's multi-million-dollar magazine, leaving the aircraft carrier exposed to the real predators lurking in the black depths. Ordinary viewers will watch this incoming swarm and think the carrier is in danger, but the military minds watching this video understand that this isn't a battle of explosives. It is a brutal game of tactical mathematics. Instead of throwing millions of dollars out the window to satisfy Iran's desperate trap, the artificial intelligence at the heart of the American cruiser makes a chillingly efficient choice. It outright refuses to grant those cheap flying trash cans the dignity of a premium kill. In a matter of milliseconds, Aegis implements precise sector scheduling, locking out the high-end interceptors and delegating this garbage disposal mission to the close-in defense layers. The automated defense grid wakes up, bringing the highly economical RIM 162 evolved Sea Sparrow missiles and the terrifying Phalanx close-in weapon system online to handle the immediate trash cleanup. When the Phalanx radar locks onto the leading edge of the Shahed swarm, the 20mm Gatling gun spins up to a deafening roar, unleashing a blinding stream of armor-piercing tungsten rounds at 4,500 shots per minute. The night sky is violently painted with the fiery debris of Iranian drones disintegrating in midair, their cheap payloads detonating harmlessly miles away from the massive carrier's hull. It is a rain of burning plastic and shredded aluminum splashing into the Gulf, neutralizing the enemy's grand aerial distraction in exactly 120 seconds of hyper-violent, economically optimized slaughter. But folks, here is the lethal error in Iran's master plan. Down in the suffocating darkness, locked inside a sweating steel tube, the commander of the Iranian Kilo submarine is practically tasting victory. He has been closely monitoring the surface chaos through his passive sonar, listening to the violent cacophony of the American fleet furiously swatting down his pathetic drone swarm. The deafening roar of the Phalanx guns and the explosive crack of the RIM 162 ESSM interceptors are masking the subtle hum of his own diesel-electric engine. In his mind, he is a strategic genius who has successfully orchestrated the perfect distraction. To him, the multi-billion-dollar American strike group is now completely blind to the real danger creeping up from below, utterly consumed by a cheap aerial circus. The arrogance in that claustrophobic control room is absolutely suffocating. He is already envisioning the medals pinned to his chest and the sheer humiliation of the US Navy, probably drafting his hero speech while staring at the illuminated targeting console. The Iranian crew is grinning ear to ear, convinced that their outdated Cold War technology has managed to outsmart the most sophisticated maritime defense network ever built by mankind. They input the firing solutions with terrifying confidence, locking their 3 heavyweight Valpager torpedoes onto the colossal acoustic signature of the American aircraft carrier, completely unaware that they are about to become the punchline of an extremely expensive joke. With a sudden burst of pressurized air, the 3 massive torpedoes scream out of the Kilo's tubes, accelerating to 50 knots as they cut through the black water toward a hull worth more than the entire Iranian defense budget. The distance drops to under 2 miles, and in the minds of the Iranian officers, a catastrophic hit is an absolute certainty. The thermal truth is about to get very, very loud, and the physics of destruction in the next 30 seconds is about to change the map forever. The Iranian captains are practically writing their own victory headlines as those 3 Valpager torpedoes, each packing a monstrous warhead, hurtle toward the seemingly helpless aircraft carrier. It is the ultimate David versus Goliath scenario playing out on their sonar screens, an arrogant fantasy about to meet the cold, hard wall of American technological supremacy. But folks, here is the lethal error in relying on outdated Soviet-era junk to hunt the apex predator of the ocean. The secret trump card of the American escort destroyer has been silently watching this entire charade unfold from the very beginning. The ANSQQ-89 anti-submarine warfare system aboard the guided missile destroyer, operating in absolute silence, instantly detects the aggressive high-frequency acoustic signatures of the Iranian torpedo propellers slicing through the water at 50 knots. Without a single drop of sweat or panic, the destroyer's crew casually deploys the ultimate optical illusion of naval warfare. Trailing hundreds of feet behind the warship, the ANSLQ-25 Nixie-towed torpedo decoy slips into the black water. In a fraction of a second, this brilliant piece of acoustic deception starts broadcasting a massive, fabricated acoustic signature perfectly mimicking the throbbing heartbeat of a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier's massive propellers. The first 2 Iranian Valpager torpedoes, essentially blinded by the deafening noise of this artificial titan, instantly snap their guidance wires and violently veer off course. They greedily chase the deafening phantom, detonating harmlessly in a massive plume of white water a mile away from the actual fleet, wasting millions of dollars of Iranian ordnance on an empty stretch of ocean. It is a humiliating, catastrophic failure of their primary strike package, a pathetic end to their grand delusion. But wait, the 3rd Iranian torpedo manages to power through the chaotic acoustic environment, still desperately homing in on the real carrier's faint magnetic signature. The distance closes rapidly. Time to impact, 12 seconds. If you were the commander of the destroyer, Would you brace for a catastrophic hit, or would you trust the automated execution of an absolute slaughter? The destroyer's combat system coldly activates the anti-torpedo torpedo defense system, launching an incredibly fast, miniaturized interceptor into the black depths. The miniature interceptor torpedo calculates the exact trajectory of the incoming threat in milliseconds, plunging through the water to meet the last Iranian Fajr in a brutal head-on collision. A massive shockwave violently shakes the ocean floor as millions of dollars of Iranian explosive power are instantly vaporized by a tiny kinetic kill vehicle. The multi-billion-dollar American carrier does not even suffer a scratched paint job. Most people will look at the boiling surface water and think the crisis is over. But those with a sharp tactical eye know the second act of this torch party is just getting started. The sheer arrogance of the Iranian submarine captains completely evaporates the exact moment their firing positions are exposed. By launching those torpedoes, they just signed their own death warrants, turning their invisible stealth subs into glowing red targets on the American sonar grid. The fleet commander smoothly transitions the battle space into the overwhelming Punisher protocol. Twin MH-60R Seahawk helicopters roar off the flight deck of the USS McFall, hunting the desperate Iranian Kilo submarine. They blanket the dark water with a suffocating grid of SSQ-53F sonar buoys, creating an inescapable acoustic net that completely traps the doomed henchman below. The hunter becomes the hunted in seconds. Right on cue, a massive P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft violently banks over the waves, dropping a Mark 54 lightweight torpedo straight down the throat of the trapped Iranian submarine. While the Mk-54 drops to hunt the fleeing Kilo, the surface warship brutally cleans up the remaining trash. The USS McFall aims its massive Mk-45 5-inch gun at the panicked Zulfahar speedboats trying to outrun their doom. High explosive shells rain down, turning their cheap fiberglass hulls into a spectacular bonfire of wasted Iranian tax money. Down below, the ruthless physics of deep water destruction take over as the Mark 54 torpedo impacts the steel hull of the Kilo. 3 consecutive underwater explosions violently crush the submarine, erasing the multi-million-dollar threat entirely. Stay with me because the final move isn't a shot across the bow. It is a total strategic checkmate. The entire battle is over in under 10 minutes. The surface of the Gulf of Oman is littered with the burning, pathetic wreckage of Iran's multi-million-dollar drone swarm and obliterated speedboats. Down in the crushing depths, the crushed steel tomb of the Kilo-class submarine serves as a permanent monument to their catastrophic arrogance. Meanwhile, the American carrier strike group hasn't suffered a single casualty or a scratched hull. The colossal floating airfield and its escorting destroyers simply adjust their course and continue sailing through the black water, completely unfazed by the amateur ambush. But here is the detail that makes this a masterpiece of strategic intimidation. The United States Navy achieved this total annihilation without firing a single multi-million-dollar Standard missile interceptor. The fleet's most expensive magazines remain completely full, meticulously preserved by the ruthless financial logic of the Aegis artificial intelligence. But the absolute worst nightmare for Iran hasn't even started. By foolishly exposing their tactics, the Iranian commanders just handed the American electronic warfare aircraft every single encrypted communication protocol and launch coordinate used in the ambush. The Americans didn't just survive this pathetic attack, they mapped out the entire Iranian coastal defense grid in real time. Right now, precise firing solutions are being quietly uploaded into dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles. The United States Navy now holds the exact GPS coordinates of the underground drone facilities and submarine pens that ordered this catastrophic failure. Those missiles are fully fueled, just waiting for the green light to turn those Iranian bases into smoking craters. Only those with a sharp tactical mind can answer this. If you were the American commander tomorrow morning, do you launch the Tomahawks to wipe out their bases? Or do you let them marinate in this humiliating defeat? Let me know your Grandmaster move in the comments.